Hi everybody, today I try read in English this book, so you see it. 451 grad Fahrenheit by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury, yeah. I never read this book, not in English, but in Russian too. So try doing it. Fahrenheit, Fahrenheit 451. The temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns. This one with gratitude is for Don Kong Don. Part 1. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed with the brass nozzle in his fists. So this is so hard with my pronunciation. I continued. With this great python spitting its venomous kerosene upon the world, the blood pounded in his head, and his hands were the hands of some amazing conductor playing all the symphonies of blazing and burning to bring down the tatters and charcoal ruins of history. This his symbolic helmet numbered 451 on his stolid head, and his eyes all orange flame with the thought of what came next. He flicked the igniter, and the house jumped up in gorging fire that burned the evening sky red and yellow and black. He strode in a swarm of fireflies. He wanted above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on a stick in the furnace, while the flapping pigeon-winged books died on the porch and lawn of the house, while the books went up in sparkling whirls and blew away on a wind turned dark with burning. Mounted green to the fierce grin of all men singed and driven back by flame. He knew that when he returned to the firehouse, he might wink at himself, a minstrel man burned corked in the mirror. Later, going to sleep, he would feel the fiery smile still gripped by his face muscles in the dark. It never went away, that smile. It never even went away as long as he remembered. He hung up his black beetle-colored helmet and shined it. He hung his flame-proof jacket nearly. He showered luxuriously and then, whistling hands and pockets, walked across the upper floor of the fire station and fell down the hall. At the last moment, when disaster seemed positive, he pulled his hands from his pockets and broke his fall by grasping the golden pole. He slid to a kicking halt and heels 1 inch from the concrete floor downstairs. He walked out of the fire station and along the midnight street toward the subway, where the silent air propellered train slid soundlessly down its lubricated flue in the earth and let him out with a great puff of warm air and to the cream-tiled escalator rising to the suburb. Whistling, he led the escalator wafted him into the still night air. He walked toward the corner, thinking little at all about nothing in particular. Before he reached the corner, however, he slowed as if a wind had sprung up from nowhere, as if someone had called his name. The last few nights he had had the most uncertain feelings about the sidewalk just around the corner here, moving in the starlight toward his house. He had felt that a moment before his making the turn someone had been there. The air seemed charged with a special calm as if someone had waited there quietly, and only a moment before he came, simply turned to a shadow and let him through. Perhaps his nose detected a faint perfume, perhaps the skin on the backs of his hands, on his face, felt the temperature rise at this one spot where a person standing might raise the immediate atmosphere 10 degrees for an instant. There was no understanding it. Each time he made the turn, he saw only the white, unused, buckling sidewalk with perhaps on one night something vanishing swiftly across a lawn before he could focus his eyes or speak. But now tonight he slowed almost to a stop, his inner mind reaching out to turn the corner for him, had heard the faintest whisper. Breathing? Or was the atmosphere compressed merely by someone standing very quietly there waiting? He turned the corner. The autumn leaves blew over the moonlit pavement in such a way as to make the girl who was moving there seem fixed to a sliding walk, letting the motion of the wind and the leaves carry her forward. Her head was half bent to watch her shoes stir the circling leaves. Her face was slender and milk-white, and in it was a kind of gentle hunger that touched over everything with tireless curiosity. It was a look almost of pale surprise. The dark eyes were so fixed to the world no move escaped them. Her dress was white and it whispered. He almost saw that heard the motion of her hands as she walked and she infinitely small sound now. The white stir of her face turning when she discovered she was a moment away from a man who stood in the middle of the pavement waiting. The trees overhead made made a great sound of letting down the dry rain. The, the girl stopped and looked as if she might pull back in some surprise, but instead stood regarding Montague with eyes so dark and shining and alive that he felt he had said something quite wonderful, but he knew his mouth had only moved to say hello then when she seemed hypnotized by the salamander on his arm and the phoenix disc on his chest, he spoke again. Of course, he said, you are a new neighbor, aren't you? And you must be. She raised her eyes from his professional symbols. The fireman, her voice trailed off. How oddly you said that. I, I'd have known it with my eyes shut, she said slowly. What the smell of kerosene. My wife always complains he laughed. You never wash it off completely. No, you don't, she said in awe. He felt she saw walking in a circle about him, turning him and for end, shaking him quietly and emptying his pockets without once moving herself. Kerosene, he said, because the silence had let, let lengthened, is nothing but a perfume to me. Does it seem like that really? Of course, why not? She gave herself time to think of it. I don't know. She turned to face the sidewalk going toward their homes. Do you mind if I walk back with you? I'm Clarice McClellan. Clarice, Guy Montag. Come along, Guy Montag. Come along, what are you doing out so late wandering around? How old are you? They walked in the warm, cool, blowing night on the silvered pavement, and there was the faintest breath of fresh apricots and strawberries in the air, and he looked around and realized that this was quite impossible so late in the year. There was only the girl walking with him now, her face bright as snow in the moonlight, and he knew she was walking his questions around, seeking the best answers she could possibly give. Well, she said, I am 17 and I'm crazy, and my uncle says that two always go together. When people ask your age, he said, always say 17 and insane. Isn't this a nice time of night to walk? I like to smell things and look at things and sometimes stay up all night, walking and watch the sunrise. She walked, they walked on again in silence, and finally she said thoughtfully, you know, I am not afraid of you at all. He was surprised. Why should you be? So many people are afraid of firemen, I mean, but you are just a man after all. He saw himself in her eyes, suspended in two shining drops of bright water, himself dark and tiny and fine detail, the lines about his mouth, everything there as if her eyes were two miraculous bits of violet amber that might capture and hold him intact. Her face turned to him now, was fragile milk crystal with a soft of constant light in it. was not the historical light uh, of electricity, but the strangely comfortable and rare and gently flickering light in the candle. One time, when he was a child, in a power failure, his mother had found and lit a last candle, and there had been a brief hour of rediscovery of such illumination that space lost its vast dimensions and grew comfortably around them, around them. And their mother and son long transformed, hoping that the power might not come again too soon. So, it's 15 minutes of video. 16. Yeah. I think that I must end it. I don't know. So try doing 30 minutes video. Okay. And then Clarice McKellen said, "Do you mind if I ask how long have you worked at being a fireman?" "Since I was 20, 10 years ago." Do you ever read any of the books you bum?" He laughed. "That's against the law." "Oh, of course. It's fine work. Monday, Bam Milley, Wednesday, Whitman, Friday, Faulkner. Burn them to ashes, then bomb the ashes. That's our official slogan." They walked still further, and the girl said, "Is it true that long ago firemen put fires out instead of going to start them?" "No, houses have always been fireproof, take my word for it." My word for it. Strange, I heard once that a long time ago houses used to burn by accident and they needed firemen to stop the flames. He laughed. She glanced quickly over. Why are you laughing? Laughing. I don't know. He started to laugh again and stopped. "Why? You laugh when I haven't been funny, and you answer right off. You never stop to think what I have asked you." He stopped walking. "You are an odd one," he said, looking at her. "Haven't you any respect?" "I don't mean to be insulting. It's just I love to watch people too much, I guess." "Well, doesn't this mean anything to you?" He tapped the numerals 451 stitched on his colored sleeve. "Yes," she whispered. She increased her pace. "Have you ever watched the jet cars racing on the boulevards down that way?" "You are changing the subject. I sometimes think drivers that don't know what grass is or flowers because they never see them slowly," she said. If you showed a driver a green blur of yes, he'd say that's grass. A pink blur, That's a rose garden. White blurs and houses are white blurs are houses. Brown blurs are cows. My uncle drove slowly on the highway once. He drove 40 miles an hour and they jailed him for 2 days. Isn't that funny and sad, too? You think too many things, said Montauk uh, uneasily. I rarely watch the parlor walls or go to races or fun parks, so I have lots of time for crazy thoughts, I guess. Have you seen the 200-foot long billboards in the country beyond town? Did you know that once billboards were only 20 feet long, but cars started rushing by so quickly they had to stretch the advertising out so it would last. I did know I didn't know that. Montauk laughed abruptly. But I know something else you don't. There is dew on the grass in the morning. He suddenly couldn't remember if he had known this or not, and it made him quite irritable. And if you look, she nodded at the sky, there is a man in the moon. He hadn't looked for a long time. They walked the rest of the way in silence, her thought full, his a kind of clenching and uncomfortable silence in which be shot her accusing glances. When they reached her house, all its lights were blazing. What's going on? Montague had rarely seen that many house lights. Oh, just my mother and father and uncle sitting around talking. It's like being a pedestrian, only rarer. My uncle was arrested another time, did I tell you? For being a pedestrian. Oh, we are most peculiar. But what do you talk about? She laughed at this. Good night. She started up her walk. Then she seemed to remember something and came back to look at him with wonder and curiosity. Are you happy? She said. Am I what? He cried. But she was gone running in the moonlight. Her front door shut gently. Happy of all the nonsense. He stopped laughing. He put his hand into the glove hole of his front door and let it know his touch. The front door slid open. Of course I'm happy. What does she think? I'm not, he asked the quiet rooms. He stood looking up at the ventilator grill in the hall and suddenly remembered that something lay hidden behind the grill, something that seemed to peer down at him now. He moved his eyes quickly away. What a strange meeting on a strange night. He remembered nothing like it save one afternoon a year ago when he had met an old man in the park and they had talked. Montague shook his head. He looked at a blank wall. The girl's face was there, really quite beautiful and murmury, astonishing. In fact, she had a very thin face, like the dial of a small clock seen faintly in a dark room in the middle of the night when you walk in to see the time and see the clock telling you the hour in the minute of and the second with a white silence and a glowing uncertainty and knowing what it has to tell of the night passing swiftly on toward further darknesses, but moving also toward a new sun. What asked Montauk of that other self, the subconscious idiot that ran bubbling at times quite independent of will, habit, and conscience. He glanced back at the wall, how like a mirror to her face, impossible. For how many people did you know that reflected your own light to you? People were more often he searched for a simile, found one of his work touches blazing away until they withered out. How rarely did other fa- fakes, people's excuse me, faces take of you and through back to own, your own expression, your own innermost trembling thought. What incredible power of identification the girl had. She was like the eager watcher of marionette show, anticipating each flicker of an eyelid, each gesture of his hand, each flick of a finger, the moment before it began. How long had they walked together? 3 minutes, 5. Yet how large the time seemed now. How immense a figure she was on the stage before him. What a shadow she threw on the wall. He, with her slender body, he felt that he felt that if his eye itched, she might blink, and if the muscles of his jaws stretched imperceptibly, imperceptibly, she would yawn long before he would. Why he thought, now that I think of it, she almost seemed to be waiting for me there in the street so damned late at night. He opened the bedroom door. It was like coming into the cold marble room of a mausoleum after the moon had set. Complete darkness, not a hint of silver wrought outside the windows, tightly shut the chamber, a dumb world where no sound from the great city could penetrate. The room was not empty. He listened. The little mosquito delicate dancing hum in the air, the electrical murmur of a hidden wasp's nook in its special pink worm nest. The music was almost loud enough so he could follow the tune. He felt his smile slide away, melt, fold over and down on itself like a tallow skin, like the stuff of a fantastic candle burning too long and now collapsing and now blown out. Darkness. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. He said the word to himself. He recognized this at the true state of affairs. He wore his happiness like a mask, and the then girl had run off across the lawn with the mask, and there was no way of going to knock on her door and ask for it back. So, I think I must end it my reading because chapter 1 has many pages yet. So I excuse a bit. Excuse if I have some bad pronunciation, but it is my first time of reading on the camera, and I'm not Englishman. My mother language not English. I do this video because I want do my English better. I want speak better, read better in English. And I have some problems with any words that I don't know the meaning and how uh, its pronunciation. Yeah. So I don't know. I thank you if you watched this video till end, and please don't judge me strong. I hope that with time I will be I will read better, and hope that you wish some progress for me in this deal in my study of English. Thank you very much. Goodbye.